Perspective point of view provides the audience to a text with a perspective about the events that are taking place within a narrative. This allows the author or composer to determine the perspective in which a narrative is being told, having a substantial effect to the opinions and events throughout a narrative. Methods of doing so include that of the classic narration, first person, second and third person point of views, all of which can either be participant or non-participant views within the events or roles in a narrative. The two texts that I've selected are that of A Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood and Attila, Marcel, a French film by writer and director Sylvain Chomet. A Handmaid's Tale is set in a dystopian future post-collapse of modern democratic society during the 90s. It follows the first-hand recounts of a young female handmaid known as Offred as she battles to conform with the ideals associated within the Republic of Gilead, a theocratic totalitarian society, as she is forced to endure in the attempted bearing of children of high-status men to rebuild society. This narrative highlights the themes and historical parallels of oppression, resistance, and the ideas associated with a patriarchal society. It also focuses on the nature of which Offred deals with her situation and the controlling nature of a governing body. Attila Marcel, on the other hand, is a funny, quirky, melodic film by Sylvain Chomet that follows the life of a mute young man named Paul. Following the death of his parents when he was a baby, he's brought up in a sterile, cold environment and has been growing up playing the piano and is now a young, renowned pianist. He then goes on a journey of self-rediscovery to uncover the truth behind the death of his parents, through the help of his neighbour, through the use of hallucinative remedies. The themes of self-rediscovery, loneliness, romance, and memories shine in this film through the intricate cinematic techniques and the specific utilisation of the first-person point of view. Following the recounts of Offred in A Handmaid's Tale, the story and events within the plot are emphasised and influenced by the first-person narrator role of Offred. The continual exposure of Offred to the story and relying on the interpretation and opinion on the events reveals a sort of inaccuracy in my experience, and you just don't trust her as much as the author might have intended it to be. Maybe Margaret didn't want us to trust her. This is specifically seen in various quotes from the text. A scene in chapter 40 sees Offred and Nick, a guardian of Gilead, enduring some activities, let's say. Anyways, it sees some comedic dialogue between the two. You come here often? What's a girl like me doing in a place like this? This witty dialogue refers to the years prior of freedom, where it would be used as pickup lines in TV shows and pop culture movies. This dialogue is then withdrawn by Offred as she says, "It didn't happen this way. I'm not sure how it happened. Not exactly." This quote adhering to that of the theme of distortion of information. Now, this distortion or recount of an imagined scenario in conjunction with the use of surreal language brings light into an otherwise dark or depressive moment within the book. The use of the first-person narrator that is completely participant to the plot, and this unsure nature of Offred's recounts, provokes your imagination, and almost requires you to decide what you believe is true and false throughout the text. Another quote that highlights this is another from Offred from chapter 23. This is a reconstruction of a reconstruction. This phrase is in context to that of an encounter with Fred, her commander. The use of this metafictive and repetitive language imposes that of an association towards her inability to reconstruct memories through her story. In contrast, Attila Marcel uses various camera angles and techniques that enhances the full story and characters being portrayed. Sylvain Chomet is a genius when it comes to the representation of this story, with the continual swapping from first person to general camera angles to represent different aspects and parts of the story. This is set up right from the get-go in the first scene, with it being a first-person point of view angle from a baby's point of view. It is a continual shot that has the lighting that represents something of a dream or a flashback, which is later established as a nightmare from Paul, the protagonist's point of view. The use of diegetic sounds produced by the infant in relation to the scene and the dim or shrouded lighting helps enhance this scene. The use of first-person point of view could also be referred to as an innocent eye narrator in this scene, with the scene only observing the surroundings from a subjective point of view, therefore the baby being naive. This scene seems simple enough, but it also has an underlying intricacy that foreshadows the end of the film and also sets up for the various flashback scenes throughout the story. The first-person point of view is continually used throughout the story when Paul undergoes his hallucinative rediscoveries of his past, and these scenes are by far the most engaging within the story, revealing the family he had prior to the death of his parents, their profession, and then later the cause of their death. These scenes utilise the first-person point of view camera angle and immerses the viewer as if they are baby Paul. Chomet's continual use of this first-person camera angle allows for the audience to understand the position that Paul has on the perceptions of his father, but also enhances the emotional reveal when he uncovers who and what his dad really was, and ultimately brings another dimension to the film. These two texts both use different techniques to immerse the viewer and ultimately provoke a connection to the text. The composers of each one manipulating the viewer into the story and affecting the outcome of the whole character and story development, the meaning of the text and its themes, and lastly, the responses in conjunction to the themes, and the methods used to portray the story or message.